When I tell you the YouTube streets was on fire in the hood section last night, it really was. Now, Kwame Brown, I wouldn't say he's hood. He's more country. But Hassan Campbell is hood. Let me pause for a second. I'm gonna be honest about this. I have been forgive me. Please forgive me. I've known about the Hassan Campbell situation since it first hit the Star Network, when it went public. And I'm a subscriber of both of these guys. I'm going to say I'm a subscriber. Now, I want to say something. This is a disclaimer. In no way, shape, or form have I ever supported the antics that Hassan Campbell has done. Matter of fact, I actually watched his YouTube videos religiously the first year. And then when I started working, I stopped because I didn't have the time. I didn't really pick back up until like a year and a half ago. And I'm going to say something. I didn't know all this shit was going on. I really didn't know. Matter of fact, I wasn't getting the notifications. So that was true. When people was saying that people weren't getting notifications, I was one of them. But damn, all these people he was beefing with all this time. I'm still behind. That's how much I miss. Now, Kwame Brown. I remember Kwame Brown when he got drafted back in 2001. I and him were both seniors in high school. So that was a big thing. Like, if you remember 2001, before, I'm not going to mention because we all know what it was, but the first 8 months of 2001 for a lot of people were really cool. Mine was a whole nother thing. But everyone was happy at some moment because it was like, I don't know, it was like a lot of good energy in 2001 for some strange reason. And then with Kwame Brown, he was in the Jet, and my family were avid Jet readers. And he basically was somebody that people looked up to, whether you were young or even if you were older, because he was the first person in the NBA history to be drafted out of high school as the number 1 overall draft pick. That never happened before. Now, he got to play with Michael Jordan. He got to play with Kobe. He got to play with all these people. Now, you can say what you want about what happened down the line. But before he entered the NBA, he was a high school basketball legend. If you look at his stats, he was like All-American. He was doing like that McDonald's like classic. Like, he and LeBron James. But LeBron James, of course, he had like bigger stats. But his high school career was really, really good. But something happened on the college level, and it really had nothing, in my opinion, to do with him being a bust. I don't think he was an overall bust. In a sense, what I think happened with Kwame Brown, the reason why I'm talking about it, because I'm going to get to the whole dispute. Because it was a versus between Kwame and Hassan. I believe that he got picked to join the NBA because Michael Jordan needed somebody on that team that didn't make him look old and worn out. Because Michael Jordan should have retired when he first announced it back in, I believe it was 1998 or 1999. You know, it was one of those years. So much stuff has happened. But I know it was in the 90s. He left on a high note. He should have never came back out of retirement. And when he went in, I'm talking about Kwame Brown. Kwame Brown didn't get that chance to really be developed for that basketball, professional basketball, because he didn't go and play college basketball like the rest of them. So he didn't have that, like, okay, we're going to like mold you and prepare you to play for the professionals. He was playing in high school and being prepared and molded to play for college. But he didn't go to college because, as he stated before, his mother had an accident and she broke her back and she could not work. He was already being picked on a full scholarship to attend the University of Florida on a, not just a sports scholarship, but even academic, because he was going to study to be a chemical or a civil engineer, one of those engineers. And he had excellent grades, but he had to take care. He was the breadwinner, so he made that choice to go in the NBA. And Kwame didn't make a lot of money, whereas LeBron made big buku money and had an endorsement deal with sneakers. The first 2 years, he was getting like endorsement deals and everything. Like, he was a multimillionaire, and we see what LeBron, he's an icon. How you feel about him, it is what it is. Here is where I'm linking it all with Hassan Campbell. 2 months ago, Kwame Brown got called out for being a bust. And it happened on the Charlamagne the God Connected podcast. And it was Matt Barnes, Steven Jackson, Kwame said what he had to say. And he called out Charlamagne the God for basically getting involved with that young girl. Now, if you know anything about the fucking bastard, because I have my issues with Charlamagne gonna talk about his father being a murderer, which was a low blow. Now, he called out Charlamagne for that shit, and then called out him for the Jessica Reed thing. So Charlamagne, that following Monday, he apologized. Okay? Now, throughout the weeks following and leading up to the situation with Hassan Campbell, everybody was praising Kwame Brown. Even he snagged interviews with Judge Joe Brown. And, he's like he's a major YouTuber now. He has close to 400K subscribers. And he was on YouTube before, but up until last year, it was just like, fun. It was just for fun, like short vids and whatnot. Then he interviewed Tommy Sotomayor. He got interviewed by him. And he was gradually growing a YouTube presence. But then when this happened, he was just talking and commenting, and the people responded to him. Now, I'm going to talk about Hassan Campbell. Hassan Campbell, about a week ago, makes a video called "Don't Compare Me to a NBA player." Now, I'm not going to defend Hassan Campbell, but Hassan Campbell was not lying about people comparing him to Kwame Brown, because I saw videos that were coming up like that. Was it a lot of people? No. It was 3 videos. Now, it could have been more, but on my timeline, it was 3. They weren't popular videos, but they did gain some traction. Now, in that video, he was saying, when I was coming up, we was looking up to Big Meech. So you know what Big Meech is. They weren't looking up to the guys in sports in the hood. They was looking up to the gangsters. They weren't looking up to you because you weren't relatable. Now, this is in his experience growing up. Now, here's the thing about that. Big Meech wasn't known really until the 2000s. And Hassan is an older guy. I think he's like a little bit younger than Big Meech. But the thing is that in the 2000s, that was the case to a point. But still, you had a lot of young guys that were mostly looking up to rappers. That was the big thing of, I want to be an artist or I want to deal drugs if they couldn't get it. I want to play sports or I deal drugs. Now, he's not lying about that drug connection, but he left out the important part, which is the gangster culture. That was a backup plan for a lot of young dudes if sports and entertainment, as far as rap, I don't want to say rap, as far as hip hop, music, entertainment didn't work out. So this video gained traction, and then people are commenting, making other videos about Hassan Campbell trying to gain clout from Kwame Brown. So all of a sudden, yesterday, he makes a video about Kwame Brown, and he doesn't really insult Kwame Brown per se, but he does mention that Kwame stole all his talking points. Kwame Brown and what he's saying in his videos is what Hassan's been saying for years, and that he doesn't know where Kwame Brown has come from, and he feels that Kwame Brown has sort of been watching him. And so he also felt as though when Kwame Brown was making a video the day before, he was throwing shots at Hassan Campbell. So Hassan Campbell makes this video and it goes viral, as all his videos do. He's the one thing I say about Hassan Campbell, he is legitimately popular on YouTube. His views match his subscribers count. You can say what you want about the man. I'm not siding with him, but you can say what you want about the man. Now, we get into last night. And last night, Kwame Brown is sick of the antics because he feels as though Hassan was saying in the first video that you're not relatable because you had a good life. You went straight to the NBA. You didn't struggle such as Hassan did. You basically was able to become a millionaire, while guys like Hassan and the rest of the young cats in the hood had to struggle, got caught up doing drugs or other bits. And Hassan was saying that, he wasn't relatable to the hood dudes. The hood dudes was looking up to the gangsters. So Kwame just wants to know why this dude got his name in his mouth when he don't know him. So he invites Hassan on his live stream. And this is when the shit gets interesting. So a fake Hassan comes up and it just has the name Hassan. And then Kwame's like, who is this? The man's like, Hassan. And he says, no, it's not. It's not you. He was like, how you know? Because you don't sound like the dude. So then the dude's like, okay, bye. And it was just so dumb and stupid. And I knew you could have known it was him because Hassan Campbell always has Hassan Campbell. Now, a couple of minutes later, Hassan comes in and Kwame first drops the link below. So what happens is that Kwame Brown wants to know, why did you have your name in my mouth? Because I've never talked about you. I never was mentioning names. The stuff I was talking about had nothing to do with you. Why would you come say that I didn't have it hard and then say that kids weren't looking up to people such as myself in the sports world, whereas they was looking up to gangsters and jailbirds? And then you saying that I'm taking an oath, I'm part of the land and whatnot. Like, dude, first of all, you the slave. When you go to jail, you basically are signing yourself into slavery under the white man's system. You're not free. According to the Constitution, it's really the 14th Amendment or the 13th Amendment. You're not free. You're free except for if you are a prisoner. Then you are a slave. You're a legal slave. So when he approached him with that, it was like, he was a little bit he was stunned. So what he said was he wanted to apologize to him. So he apologized, Hassan, and Kwame didn't accept it. And he said, I'm not accepting it because I just want to know why you did it. Like, why would you single me out and try to start beef with me? Because I'm going to be honest with you. I feel that you was beefing with me because of clout and you was chasing the bag. I believe because my name rings bells on YouTube and it's a buzz, it was a chance for the algorithm to go up and you could benefit from it financially. So Hassan kind of pauses and everything. And then Hassan is like, well, he's like kind of stunned. And then he's like, well, I'm apologizing to you. And he was like, that's not the point. You out here preaching to these young kids that people such as myself in the sports world, we're sellouts. We're basically bad people because we chose to do good in school. We chose to do sports. We chose to do something positive instead of glorifying gang violence, drug dealing, murder. He was like, look at your chains. You go to the hood with ice chains. And he told Hassan, I want you to pull up your arm. Look at all the stuff. Look what you wearing. Dude, you a target. You bragging about the hood? Dude, you are a target if you go in the hood like that. So Hassan's like, well, first of all, I live in a nice house. I have a family. He was like, yeah, you got a nice house. You got a family. You got a fish tank. You got flowers. You got a garden. You got a backyard. You got all that. Why would you want to put yourself in a hood situation? He's like, you doing this, you making yourself a target. So he was like, I don't see it that way. So if you know about Hassan, it was a classic Hassan answer. I'm going to be honest with you. So then we skip over that. And then we talk about Hassan accusing Kwame of stealing his YouTube image. And Kwame's like, I've been always saying this stuff. First of all, I've been talking about trade schools. I've been talking about coding. Like, why you not talking about stuff like that? Like, you talking about this drama stuff. You talking about all this stuff about gangsters this, gangsters that. Like, why don't you talk about codings and trades? So at first, Hassan wasn't really answering her directly, but then he did tell him that, the trades and stuff was taken out of the schools by the time I came up. Yes and no. Schools in Manhattan didn't have trades. High schools in Manhattan didn't have trades. But if you went to high school in Brooklyn, Queens, and most of them schools in the Bronx, Hassan, they had automobile, they had work, they had they had carpentry, they had wood workshop, they had like the automotives, and for the girls, they had home economics, they had cosmetology, because I remember that high school book when I was applying for high schools in New York, because I'm an NYC person myself. They had all of those, and not all the schools, but in most of the schools. But in Manhattan, there was only one high school that had it, and that was ratchet ass Brandeis. Brandeis had all the vocational schools, because it was a vocational school. His high school was at Truman. Truman didn't really have as much of it. They was known for football because they were more like academic comprehensive. So if he was going to Truman, he was not dumb. Truman was not a bad school. It was getting bad. But Truman in those days was not a bad school, but it wasn't all trades like Samuel Gompers. That was a trade school. And there's another one. There was another like Steve-O. That was more of a trade school. But still, it was some trades. All those schools in the Bronx had some kind of trade, except for Bronx Science. But I could tell you, Manhattan high schools really didn't have trade. They was like academic comprehensive. But I had to say that. So Kwame still doesn't accept his apology. Now Hassan goes on to say that I feel like you was, taking my talking points and everything. And Kwame is just sick and fed up with that accusation. And then Hassan asks him if he was in the boule. He says, no, I'm not in the boule. He said, they treated me horribly. If I was in a boule, they wouldn't have turned on me the way they did. So then he asked him if he was a Mason. And Kwame kind of stalls on that. So that's like a question mark. I'll be honest with you, I don't give a shit about that. If he is, he is. I got a whole bunch of Masons in my family. And Eastern Stars. It is what it is. Most Black Southern families have that. It is what it is. I'm not part of it. So then we go into the YouTube algorithm. And with the YouTube algorithm, he talks basically about Hassan doing all of this for clicks and views. And Kwame's like, you're not going to basically lie about me and accuse me of stuff that I'm not doing, in terms of basically lying, saying that I'm trying to start stuff with you when I never mention your name just so that you can get your views up on your algorithm and get the bag. You're not going to eat off of me, pretty much. So Hassan starts to get an attitude, and then he leaves. And then, he walks away and stuff. And then, just before that, they was talking about Black Lives Matter. And with Black Lives Matter, basically, he was saying about, I see you talking about Black Lives Matter, and you was roasting the girl who bought all the homes. So Hassan says, who? He was like, what's her name? He was like, I don't know her name. He was, I don't remember that bitch's name. And then he was like, the only thing I know about that bitch is that she eat pussy. That shit was funny to me. But then he said, I do go in on my son and Tamika Mallory. It is personal because my son is from my hood. And Tamika Mallory, she's from New York. And she's friends with Hassan. And she basically, they know better because they using the hood to basically get clout off of, coming to communities when things happen or violence against Black people. And I do agree with that point that he made, because we've all been talking about this. I spoke about Tamika Mallory 3 years ago. I spoke about it way before Hassan. I even knew about, way before I knew about my son. Now, so going into that, I don't want to talk about the Breakfast Club because I think that shit is just whack. But what it is that it gets really, 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 really bad, because Hassan believes that when he says talking points about what's his name, Styles P made a comment about violence and how Hassan made a great point. He said, you got all these rappers, particularly rap acts such as NWA. They made money off of violence and bloodshed in the Black communities all over the country. And they're billionaires. And that's true. Most of them are billionaires and multimillionaires. Their children attend the best colleges. They went to private school. Not only that, they don't live in the hood and associate with the hood. I like NWA, but he made a valid point with that. Now, you also talked about Styles P and how he was preaching against violence. And he was saying that this is something that he was talking about for 2 years on his YouTube page, a YouTube channel. But now that rappers are saying it, everybody wants to listen to him. So Hassan has a gripe with the fact that he's been talking about positive things on his channel, but nobody was listening to him. And then when he talks about the Bambaataa stuff, that's when they come at him for it. So then all of a sudden, Kwame and him, they get into it because they feel as though Kwame says that he's glorifying gangsters. And then all of a sudden, that's when it turns, because Hassan realizes, I've been talking to this dude for an hour. You're not accepting my apology. So why am I here? So He all of a sudden starts going off. But I want to say one thing first. The one thing about Kwame Brown told him, because Hassan said it, I will say one thing. And I will salute the fact that you never made fun of me being molested. And Kwame said, with all manhood, with all his being a man, why would I? That's nothing funny. But this was interesting. Hassan Campbell thought that Kwame was going to take the bait and talk more and more about the molestation and mention African Bambaataa. Kwame never mentioned Bambaataa. He never did. See, that was bait to divert the attention off of why you had your name in my mouth. Kwame ain't fall for the shit. I thought that was brilliant. But Kwame was sincere about that. But Kwame didn't come to hear that. Kwame came to talk about why you got your name in my mouth. Now, getting back to when Hassan goes off. Hassan starts going off at the 2 hours and 13 minute mark. So from 2 hours and 13 minutes to 2 hours and 34 minutes, it's an epic back and forth. Fuck you, bit nigga, bitch ass, motherfucker, this, suck my boom, 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 boom. Fuck you. Now, he got an attitude because he never took his apology. He never accepted it. So because of that, he was like, F this shit. I'm done. He was like, fuck you. So then he was like, wait a minute. So you basically mad at me because I won't accept your apology? He was like, I don't have to. So then all of a sudden, Hassan Campbell was talking, he went off. And I've seen him go off quite a lot on his YouTube rant, on his YouTube videos, recently. But not the other ones that I missed out on because I'm still catching up. But the thing is that all of a sudden, he says something that's very profound. Kwame said, you going off. You a 44-year-old man, but you acting young like a boy. You older than me. You got a family, you got children, you got a wife. And he's like, you don't care how the people see you at? And Hassan said this. I don't give a fuck about the people. I don't give a fuck how they feel. Fuck the people. And Kwame's like, you said fuck the people? He's like, yeah, fuck the people. I don't give a fuck about them. Now that included the viewers. That included the subscribers, such as that included those that send those super chats, the super chats, and the ones that's been giving those donations on CashApp and all them spots. Fuck all of y'all. Fuck the people. He didn't say fuck the haters. He said fuck the people. Now, all of a sudden, it gets big because other people try to come on the platform, and he's like, I don't give a fuck about that nigga. Who the fuck is that nigga? That nigga from Chicago? He's a distraction. So the dude from Chicago said something profound. He said, a lot of this crazy stuff, with a lot of this, violence and this ants and this beefs and stuff, they come out of New York. All these groups, whether it's Pan-Africanism, whether it's Egyptology, Hotep, Hebrew Israelite, all this stuff comes out of New York. And he was 100% on it. And I'm going to get to that in another video. And he said, we look at y'all New Yorkers and we look at y'all as a joke because y'all beefing, y'all spreading poison. And then he talked about, true heritage and everything like that. But that's for another time. But it was really profound. So Hassan goes off, and then Hassan's like, I don't give a fuck. He was like, fuck you, Kwame. You don't want to accept my apology? Then I take it back. Fuck you, nigga. He was like, because we could fight. So then he threatens Kwame. And then Kwame Brown basically yeah, we could fight. You can come down here and we could fight. And so Hassan says, you going to put me in a hotel? He was like, no, I'm going to put you in the hospital, dude. So when all that happened, it was funny because Kwame Brown asked her, what time, what date you going to come? When you going to come? He was like, it ain't going to be next week, but it's going to be soon. He was like, Kwame's like, you drunk? You not focused? Like, look at you. He was like, he wanted to call him a failure, but he didn't do it. But Kwame's like, you pitiful. He said, but I'm waiting on you. Because he said, I'm going to whip your ass. And so then Hassan's like, you're not going to whip my ass. He was like, I'm the strongest little short dude. I will basically fly you across the room. I will basically do this and that to you. He was talking big and bad. And Kwame's just sitting there with the brown hat on, smoking on his hookah, like he usually does in his videos. And Kwame's like, I'm a Geechee. And if you know about Geechees, you know we ain't scared. And I got friends in New York. I know people in New York. And he ain't lying about that, because I'm about to say some real shit right now. Before a lot of foreign people came into New York City was known as Carolina Town. Or shout out to all my Geechees, all my Charlestonians, all my Buford people, Bronx Corner, except for Charlemagne the God. He's Geechee, but we don't claim that dude. And I'm not Geechee, but my family grew up with a lot of Geechees. And I'll tell you something. Geechee people are mad cool. And they'll be when a Geechee is your friend, a Geechee is your friend. But when you cross a Geechee, that's war. That is bloodshed. And let me tell you something. Hassan Campbell, he got off the line because his camera was muted. And I'm going to really summarize this like this. And I'm going to give my analysis. Hassan, you fucked with the wrong Geechee. You fucked with the wrong person. You don't know about Geechees. Kwame Brown is going to get you. He's going to get you. You fell for the bait. First of all, you should have, when you saw that dude was not apologizing to you, you should have never ever said anything else except for, fuck it, I'm done, bye, fuck you. You should have basically did that shit right then and there. Those last 20 minutes should have been only thing you said to him. You should have been talking with this dude. First of all, it looked like you was on trial, and you said you was on trial. And I want to say something though. The dude that's Kwame's friend, the one that plays basketball overseas, that dude just wasn't there just to watch what was going on for a lot of it. He was there for a lot of stuff. That dude didn't say not one thing to Hassan Campbell. And that was not just happenstance. That was intentional. He was watching everything. And let me tell you something. You threaten a former sports player. See, threatening an entertainer is different from threatening a sports professional. Because unlike the entertainment industry, the sports professions, they have unions. They have protection. They have a lot of services that you can't get in the entertainment industry. Regardless of how much money they all make, whether it's the NBA, whether it's the NFL, whether it is the NBL, whether it's the NHL, whether it's golf, whether it's soccer, volleyball, tennis, that sports arena, you don't play with that shit. If you notice when athletes get killed, they go hard with solving that crime. When entertainers in the rap world get killed, they don't give a fuck. You weren't talking to a celebrity in the rap world, Hassan. You was talking to an NBA player. They are looked upon. They have a special image because their image is more for the youth. That's how come when you was saying the stuff about how the youth wasn't looking up to sports people, the youth in the hood was looking more up to Big Meech. The little kids ain't really know about Black Mafia family. They ain't know about that shit really. That's like mostly like our generation, a little bit older, much older. That's grown man shit. Like kids didn't really know about gangster because around the 2000s, and we was coming up in the 90s, they was all going to jail. They was getting killed. Now, if you're talking about the 70s, where the drug dealers back then yeah. And in the 80s, yeah. But in the 90s, 2000s, a lot of that too was really sports entertainment, and drugs was the backup plan if those two didn't work out. And so, Hassan, you messed up with this one. You did. You should have said what you had to say and leave. You did the right thing by apologizing. But Kwame Brown is a dude that's been through a lot in the public eye. So he don't trust people who's not in the entertainment world talking about him and feeling that you're doing it for clicks and views. And Kwame played you. Kwame got you good. And Hassan, I'm saying this because I've been following this story with afrikabambaataa and your shared experience for it's been 5 years, because April is 2016. That's 5 years and almost 5 years and 3 months. Yeah. Hassan. And I'm saying this respectfully. You gotta, how can I say this in a PC way? You gotta shift your focus back to how your YouTube channel was originally, when you was talking about victims. When you was talking about victims back in the beginning of YouTube channel, you didn't really have the drama like this. They were coming at you, but people weren't clowning you. These videos that's popping up on my timeline that I'm seeing, these videos are like going back to like 2 years ago. They're not 3 and 4 or 5 years ago. They're like 1 couple months, 1 year, 2 years. You had something really great and you still have it. But if you're doing the stuff like Kwame Brown, no, By the end of the summer, if the message doesn't go back to the victims of molestation, and if you don't talk about putting afrikabambaataa and charging him with what happened, I hate to say it, but the credibility, you're going to lose a lot of trust with people. I know a lot of people have already said they don't fuck with you, but you got to really put the brakes on this right now and you got to think about your legacy, because you really had something special, because your channel was like no other. You was like the realest dude on YouTube. Like, really, you was real. And that's one of the reasons why I subscribe to your channel. But you gotta put the brakes on this. And I think that this experience is like a lesson, in the sense that you can apologize and you can respond, but sometimes it's good to just say what you gotta say and just keep it moving. Kwame Brown, he has his legacy in basketball. No matter what, people gonna still either love the dude and appreciate him for his knowledge and what his experiences in the court, or they're gonna say he's a bust. He has to deal with that. You don't have to deal with that being a bust. People accuse Hassan of being jealous of Kwame Brown, and I don't think he's jealous, but I think he's hurt that he never had an opportunity. And he did say he never had the opportunity to, take his family out of the projects and buy them a house. He didn't have the chance to do that with his mom. Even though he talked really bad about her a lot, but he didn't get a chance to do that. Kwame Brown did. But then Kwame Brown, he was never sexually violated. He don't have people teasing him. So you have this shared kinship at the end of the day. And these guys could have actually, met the minds. If Kwame would have just accepted the apology, they could have actually bonded on some real shit of, they make fun of me for being a bust. They making fun of me. They making fun of him for being molested. But it didn't happen. And it's because the way Hassan introduced talking about Kwame Brown was fucked up. And it was fucked up. Hassan could have had an ally. Like how Jaguar Wright had an ally with Tokyo Tony. He could have had even though it's a bad analogy though, in a sense, but he could have had an ally in Kwame Brown. And the sad part is he won't ever have that. I know this was a long one. I'm a little winded, but I had to do it. So the video is going to be titled Kwame Brown versus Hassan Campbell. It's because it was a battle. I wonder if the fight's going to happen. If it does happen, it'll probably be like before the summer's over, or it may never happen. But all I know is that Hassan ain't going to be talking to Kwame. Kwame ain't going to be talking to Hassan. And let's see. I'm gonna put a poll up tonight. Are they going to fight? I'm gonna put a poll up if it's going to fight. And then if they fight, who you think's gonna win? So this is your girl, Ms.Analytical, and I'm posting this up. I know I'm gonna get some criticism for this. It is what it is. After last summer and after what I've been through these past couple of months, I could deal with it. I can handle it. It is what it is. Take care, guys. Have a wonderful night. I'll be back.